So this is fun. I'm sitting down and I just got these three questions from a student regarding a practice test that we were taking. And the student says, so I wasn't in class today and I'm grading my multiple choice. I've run across a few questions. Number two, I had put D when debating between B and D. It was wrong. What's the difference and why does it matter? Well, let's take a look at this question. So before we get to that particular question number two, let's look at the setup for it. It's about this class called the quote-unquote time class. The time class has two constructors. One of them takes absolutely no arguments. That's this one right here, no argument constructor. And then there's another one that takes three arguments. You can see the three things that it takes hours, minutes, and seconds. And it says implementation not shown. Question two is regarding this. And if you take a look at it, it says private, there's three private variables, right? Private int my hours, my minutes, and my seconds. So what's happening is someone's going to construct a time object by giving it three integers, hours, minutes, and seconds. And basically, how do these values, right, hours, minutes, and seconds, get stored in the correct spots? Remember, this H, M, and S are what we would call they're local variables. They're local just to this constructor method, and once the method's finished running, the constructor is finished running, H, M, and S are gone. So let's take a look at question two now. It's right here. It says, which of the following represents the correct implementation for the constructor with parameters? So that's the one where they're giving it hours, minutes, and seconds. Well, the student was saying that their choices were between D and B. They ultimately went with D, which is wrong. And the question is, why does it matter? And well, which one? Why is B right and why does it matter? So if you take a look at it, the constructor is receiving three variables. It's receiving an H, an M, and an S. And those three variables are going to be, they're passed to the constructor. And it's partly, the question really revolves around understanding which way things flow, right? So if I have something like a variable, my hours, right, and it's a capital H, hours equals H, what we're doing is the thing on the right gets stored into the variable on the left. It goes in that direction. If I look at D, what it would be saying is, hey, this private variable, my hours, is going to get stored in the local thing that you were just passed. And that's wrong, right? It's the thing on the right that gets stored into the left. And then for some of the other choices, A might be good for the zero argument one. Reset time, that looks like it's a method call. I don't think that would be a good way to go. And then time equals new time, HMS. No, that's basically just kind of creating a new time object in the constructor that still hasn't been written, so we need to write it. But the correct answer is B. And it's the thing on the right gets stored on the left, right? So assignment operators, it's the right variable that gets stored into this. So when we say, for example, 3, if I say 3 equals 3, duh, yeah. And in fact, I could even flip it. I can have 2 plus 1 equals 3, and I can have 3 equals 2 plus 1. The thing is that this equals here in a statement of equality is different than what the equals we're using in Java. In Java, it's the thing that's over here, this value 3, is getting placed into, for example, some int A. This is getting stored this direction. So they're not interchangeable. The second question is, for question 3, I originally put B, which was wrong, so I'm wondering how the print statement knows how to do the colons in between the numbers in the other options. So for question 3, we have a client class, and it has a method in it that's called a display method. What's it called? It's called display. And then it writes the time represented by its parameter. So if you were to give it a time object and say, call display and give it a time, it'll print it out on the screen. So the first problem is let's see. The first problem with number one is it's given a time object, it's given t, and then it immediately says, well, forget that t that you gave me. I'm gonna make a new one. So it makes a new object t with these values h, m, and s that aren't defined anywhere. So it's created this new time object, capital T, with values that aren't declared anywhere, and then it asks it to print it out. So that's a problem because, first of all, it's not the time object you were given. You were given a lowercase t. You decided to make a capital T time object and with these values that I don't even know, and then print them out. Number two has a problem because all of these are invoking, they're basically trying to get the access to the private variable my hours, my mins, and my second. When you notice those up in the declaration up above, they're all marked as private variables. So you can't get to them, that way. It's just not possible. It's not going to be allowed. Remember, this is a client program. It's not something that you're adding to the class. It's some other thing that's making use of the time object. So 2 is not going to work. The reason why 3 works, and it's really a beautiful solution, right? First of all, you're handed a time object, lowercase t, and then you just say system.out.println. One of the things you'll notice is that the program, the time class, did define something called the toString method, right? Public string toString. And the reason why this toString method is nice is whenever you do system.out.println and then give it an object, by default the toString that's used basically kind of gives you like I guess it's a memory location of that object. It's kind of funky looking. But if you define system.out, if you define the toString method, it'll use that one. So whenever you do system.out.print and then an object, if you've redefined the toString method, that one overwrites. And I'm just taking them for their words here, but it says returns time as a string in the form hours, minutes, and seconds. So this is the format that it's going to be doing. The implementation's not shown to me at all. I have no idea how they're doing it, or possibly they didn't do it correctly, but I'm assuming that that's not my job. That's going to work and that's going to be there. So I'm just calling, you see when I ask it to print out T, it invokes toString, and it should, if everyone's done their job correctly, it should print out the time in exactly that format.